Morning, YouTube. Well, today I'm visiting a few sites pertaining to Abraham Lincoln and his ties to Kentucky. This is the site of the Sinking Springs farm, and it's in this little valley here, dominated by basically by Knob Creek, which is right over here. And as I walk over there, let's talk about that. Knob Creek, flowing through here, Abraham Lincoln and his childhood friend were jumping rocks in the creek when it was a little bit higher than it is right now, I'm pretty sure. And Abraham slipped in, and the young Goyher boy hung on to a branch, stuck it out to him, and saved Abraham Lincoln from being swept away. And you can see the water obviously used to be is higher in the spring. So, but this little spot was Abraham's boyhood home for a number of years, and he went to school. His first school was up the road here about 2 miles, and this is the old Cumberland Trail that went from Lexington to Nashville, and it's now Route 31E here in Kentucky. So I'm here in mid-November, and although the gates are open, this place is not, there's nobody here. It's a national park register, but obviously in the summertime they got a little bit more going on, because there's a garden over here, and recreation of a cabin that they would live in. Might seem a little odd to us to have a wooden fireplace and wooden chimney, but hey, you do with what you got. And not a very big place, but then again, it was the frontier. Now this Abraham's father, Thomas, I believe, rented out about 30 acres of land here. So behind me is the Lincoln Tavern. It wasn't run by Lincoln. 1928, Hattie Howell Howard and her husband Chester purchased the old farm here and built this building using logs that they found, or they cut down here on the site. And this was a tavern, had gas pumps and whatnot, and ran for a number of years. Then became a national register or registered landmark. So I'm going to head off back down the road and get to Abraham Lincoln's birthplace. There's a marker that way, 2 miles for the for school, but there's nothing there but the marker. So let's get on the road and see what we can find. I'm now at the site of Lincoln's birthplace, and a lot of construction going on. Nice big park, and but there's construction going on around, so there's got to do some different detours around. But they got a nice boardwalk here, gentle slope, and it heads over to the memorial building that we'll check out and show you what's inside. So inside the building, which was built, the memorial building was built between 1909 and 1911. So basically started the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth on February 12th, 1809. It's the first memorial built for Lincoln. The Lincoln Memorial in Washington wasn't built until 11 years later. But inside the memorial is a symbolic cabin. It was put here on what they believe to be the site of Lincoln's birth, above the Sinking Spring, which I'll get down to in a little bit. There's one window and one door, and over here it would have been uh, 16 feet by 18 feet. They did cut this one down. The original cabin was long gone by 1865. It had disappeared, and they put this cabin, which is a little newer but of similar construction. To get an idea. That's the inside of the wooden fireplace. So, but this, like I said, this is the first Lincoln Memorial, or Memorial to Lincoln, and pretty interesting to actually see how they honored him. They say it's symbolic of American democracy, that somebody from this humble beginnings could rise to the power of greatness of the country. So the cornerstone for the memorial building here was laid by Teddy Roosevelt on February 12th, 1909, which was the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's death. Because he and Lincoln, of course, only lived 56 years. So as I said, with Lincoln's home birthplace located up there inside of the memorial, the farm was called Sinking Spring Farm, and I can't get down to it because of the sidewalk construction. I don't know why they won't let me down there, but that is the actual site of the spring. And there's the water would come out of the spring and then drop down into a hole and flow away underground. But that made this valuable property. Is home site's right up there. You got fresh running water all the time there, and pretty sweet spot back in. There's a better shot at the memorial up there on the hill. Springs over there. A couple things to get straightened out, actually. Abraham Lincoln's father, Thomas, bought this farm. It turns out that land changed hands a lot back in those days, and the guy, two owners before him, couldn't afford to pay for it outright, so he only paid half, and the original owner had a lien on it. Well, then he sold that land, and instead of paying off the original lien, he took off with the money. And then Thomas bought the land from that next guy without knowing the lien was on it. So that's the whole land dispute. The original owner wanted the land back, and they took it to court, and it took quite a few years. I think they say about 7 years for it to get through the courts, and he lost. But in the meantime, they had moved up to the place we were at earlier, and which is where Lincoln was about 3, and that's his earliest memories. But he the same kind of dispute happened there, and Thomas went, I'm not going through this again, and he took off. Took the family and moved to Indiana. So there you go. I am going to get on the road. Take off from here. We'll see what I can find, and well, see you later, YouTube. I don't know what the cat's doing on the bus. I hear a lot of thumping going on.